Okay, I'm going to start again with that last paragraph. But Tourneau left, and a few minutes later he returned with his parents. They looked at me. I must have seemed quite pathetic there, all wet and shivering. The mother, Vivian, put her arms around me to comfort me. Oh, Julian, that hug was the warmest hug I've ever felt. I cried so hard in this woman's arms because I knew I would never cry in my own maman's arms again. I just knew it in my heart, Julian, and I was right. They had taken Maman that same day, along with all the other Jews in the city. My father, who had been at work, had been warned that the Germans were coming and managed to escape. He was smuggled to Switzerland, but it was too late for Maman. She was deported that day to Auschwitz. I never saw her again. My beautiful Maman. She took a deep breath here and shook her head. Tourneau. Grandmere was silent for a few seconds. She was looking into the air like she could see it all happening again right in front of her eyes. Now I understand why she'd never talked about this before. It was too hard for her. Tourneau's family hid me for 2 years in that barn, she continued slowly. Even though it was so dangerous for them, we were literally surrounded by Germans, and the French police had a large headquarters in Grandmere. But every day, I thanked my maker for the barn that was my home, and the food that Tourneau managed to bring me, even when there was hardly any food to go around. People were starving in those days, Julian, and yet they fed me. It was a kindness that I will never forget. It's always brave to be kind, but in those days, such kindnesses could cost you your life. Grandmere started to get teary-eyed at this point. She took my hand. The last time I saw Tourneau was 2 months before the liberation. He had brought me some soup. It wasn't even soup. It was water with a little bit of bread and onions in it. We had both lost so much weight. I was in rags. So much for my pretty clothes. Even so, we managed to laugh, Tourneau and I. We laughed about things that happened in our school. Even though I couldn't go there anymore, of course, Tourneau still went every day. At night, he would tell me everything he had learned so that I would stay smart. He would tell me about all my old friends, too, and how they were doing. They all still ignored him, of course, and he never revealed to any of them that I was still alive. No one could know. No one could be trusted. But Tourneau was an excellent narrator, and he made me laugh a lot. He could do wonderful imitations, and he even had funny nicknames for all my friends. Imagine that, Tourneau was making fun of them. I had no idea you were so mischievous, I told him. All those years you were probably laughing at me behind my back, too. Laughing at you? He said. Never. I had a crush on you. I never laughed at you. Besides, I only laughed at the kids who made fun of me. You never made fun of me. You simply ignored me. I called you Tourneau. And so? Everyone called me that. I really don't mind. I like crabs. Oh, Tourneau, I'm so ashamed, I answered, and I remember I covered my face with both hands. At this point, Grandmere covered her face with her hands. Although her fingers were bent with arthritis now, and I could see her veins, I pictured her young hands covering her young face so many years ago. Tourneau took my hands with his own hands, she continued, slowly removing her hands from her face, and he held my hands for a few seconds. I was 14 years old then, and I had never kissed a boy, but he kissed me that day, Julian. Grandmere closed her eyes. She took a deep breath. After he kissed me, I said to him, I don't want to call you Tourneau anymore. What is your name? Grandmere opened her eyes and looked at me. Can you guess what he said? She asked. I raised my eyebrows as if to say, no, how would I know? Then she closed her eyes again and smiled. He said, my name is Julian. think that's the end of that section. So that'll be the end of this video. Hope y'all are doing well.